Welcome, everybody. Welcome to another Community Fit, and in particular, a midweek desk stretch. I am your host, James. And we're here. We are here to talk about all things back and spinal, and as we talked about last week, kind of core, like what is essential to the body, which is everything kind of below the neck and above the hips. So, we're going to get started like we always do with some of our nervous system regulation work. If you have a practice that you like to do, feel free to do whatever practice works best for you. If you have no idea what nervous system regulation work is, feel free to follow me along. And if you like nervous system regulation work, make sure you join us on Fridays for our ACT program, Adjusting to Change Toolkit work. And that's what that class is all about. And then after that, we're going to work on some back stuff. We're going to work on it through the lens, heavily through the lens of breath work today. Because a lot of what's going on, especially if you've got like upper and mid, and even to a degree, low back and even hip issues, a lot of that has to do with breathing and how open and free your diaphragm is, how open and free your, we're going to use a fancy term here, intercostal tissue is, meaning all of the stuff that's in between your ribs. And the best way to mobilize it, move it, massage it, make it feel better is through breathing practices. So we're going to expand that definition today of like what a breathing practice could be and something you might want to have near you. If you're at home, this is an easy ask. Grab a pillow of some sort. And if you've been with us for a while, you probably remember from Move Lab the pillow practice where we used just like a real cheap poly-filled pillow to do some work. So if you have a really like not a best pillow for this is like that really cheap Target pillow, right? Where it's just like polyester, like plasticky filled pillow stuff because it's got a firmness to it. Now, if you have down pillows, if you've got throw pillows, if you've got whatever, that will work great. If you're at home, probably super easy ask. If you're watching from an office or off-site location right now, you can use a jacket. You can even use like most ergonomic chairs are kind of soft in the back. So that will be great. And if you're like, I don't have any of the above, James, maybe just watch and do what you can do with it and then recall this and explore when you're at home. So here in a bit, if you've got a pillow of some sort, look at that. You can see Bob's little feet here. Bob the dog right here. He's passed out today. But those of you who just come to look at Bob, you get his feet today. Um, Beside the point. So feel free to grab or be thinking about what you might use there as we are going through our nervous system regulation practice. So enough talking. Let's get to some of that. Now, the nervous system regulation work is only designed, it's designed for a lot of things, but it's primarily designed just to get you settled. So whatever settling I'm here now practice you need, feel free to do that. Here's where I'm going to start. I'm going to bring my hands together. I'm going to get them warmed. And I'm going to take my warm hands. And today I'm feeling like, I'm going to put them right on my chest. And so I'm just going to be here letting the warmth do its work. And then I'm just going to take a hand and just do some real slow, rhythmic, thoughtful tapping. As I do that, and I'm going to walk you through what I feel. I feel like my body's wanting to do some yawns, which is a signal from my nervous system that, oh, it's time to regulate. It's time to kind of settle. And then I'm going to go into some vocalizations. So today it's going to be like a hum, closed mouth hum. I'm going to do one more of those. And I'm just going to do a hold, noticing whatever feels different. Still holding, I'm going to go right into an orientation. So I'm just going to start to look around the space, just noticing that there's a wall and a ceiling and a basket and plant and a mirror and a door and a wall and a closet and a window, a dog, a floor, chair, my legs, just noticing the books, the art, whatever is in your space. I'm going to take my hands and just kind of shake them, let it shake the arms, let it shake the body. Maybe one more exaggerated exhalation. Good. Okay. So let's start up. Last week we started from the bottom to the top. Today, let's start from the top to the bottom just to like re-clarify that there's no right way, there's no protocol that's correct. We're just doing some options and some choices. And like we covered last week, the best way to utilize the next 25 minutes or so is for you to explore and play and get curious about all of the movement options that are offered today and categorize in your own mind which ones felt really good and which ones were really hard. And at the end of the class, maybe you've got 3 to 5 things that you're going to remember and you're going to practice. You don't need to every day do a half hour of this stuff. I mean, you could if you wanted. Your body probably is wanting, is calling for, is asking for 3 to 5 new things. Explore, play with those, see what they are. So we're going to take our hands, get them warmed. I'm going to take my warm hand. I'm going to take my right warm hand and place it on the left side of the throat. Big heavy hand draws to middle as I twist in the opposite direction. Opposite hand, opposite side of the throat. Big heavy hand draws. Big heavy hand draws to middle. Big heavy hand draws to middle. Now I'm going to take both hands in the back of my neck, kind of fingertip to fingertip, up high, right below the skull. Just going to do some little circles. Just kind of waking up that top area of the neck, feeling my way across the base of the skull. It's kind of like where you got those 2 nodules at the bottom of the skull there. Head maybe goes back, head goes forward, back, forward. And then maybe it goes down the spine a little bit, mid of the neck. And then I'm going to hold, and I'm going to just kind of compress back here. Elbows are going to relax. I'm just kind of holding and compressing. And maybe there's a yes nod or a left to right, whatever feels good to you. Now, we started off by saying we're going to focus on some breath work as a way of, or breathing practices as a way to mobilize, move through some of the back and rib area. So right now is allergy season for a lot of people. So let's kind of open up some of that breathing stuff. Let's first start off by working on some of the jaw, throat, eustachian tubes, kind of what drains everything. So I'm going to take 2 fingers like this, like you're doing a little peace sign here. One finger, middle finger goes kind of in front of the ear. Index finger goes behind, like so. And I'm just going to do like a little massaging here. And I'm pushing inwards towards each other at about, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm pushing in at like a 4 or a 5. So it's a good medium pressure there. I'm just making some circles. And then I'm going to draw my fingers down, down, down towards the chin. And I'm going to go back and repeat some circles. And then drawing down, 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 down. One more of those circles and drawing down, down, down. Now, index and thumb are going to grab kind of the inside of the ear here, and they're going to pull backwards and out. So like I'm trying to pull my ears towards the back of my head and away from each other. On a scale of 1 to 10, we're doing at maybe a 2 or a 3 here. So it's light touch, but noticeable, light, noticeable touch. Pulling backwards and out. And I'm gonna hold. And I might even want to do some like guppy breath here, meaning I'm just gonna gently open and close the mouth. Two more. And release. So we've kind of opened up some of our potential to drain some of whatever you got going on. Then you can either take your thumbs or kind of your index finger or these two fingers here. And you're going to go kind of to the side of the nose. If this is my cheekbone and this is my nose, there's like an indent somewhere in between, right? And you can take your thumb, you can take fingers, you can take a couple of fingers, and it's like a vigorous rub. It's not up and down, it's not side to side, it's kind of at a diagonal right in there, right? And it's one side or both, and it's relatively vigorous. And the pressure here towards your skull is maybe at a scale of 1 to 10. We're working at like a 4 or a 5. So again, it's noticeable. We're just kind of working through the sinuses there. And then I'm dragging it underneath the cheekbones. Again, vigorous rub. And then a drag. And a vigorous rub. And a drag. Then thumbs are going to go, got my eyebrows. And then there's the bone that's right above it, right? It's right underneath the eyebrows. Now I can take and push up, or I can take and hold, and I can let the weight of my head kind of sink in. And I'm just going to kind of push up and spread out. Again, pushing up, spreading out. Again, pushing up, spreading out. One more of those. Pushing up, spreading out, and then taking fingertip tap all over the face. And then just take a few inhales. Noticing if or what has changed there. Good. Now, by now, hopefully you've got your pillow. For those of us who joined a little late, we're going to use some breath work today to kind of help open up some of the muscle and fascial tissue through the ribs, the back area. One of the best tools you can have is going to be a pillow. It doesn't need to be a fancy pillow. In fact, one of the best pillows is kind of a polyfill, cheap sleeping pillow, standard size pillow, but use what you got. Today I'm using just like a throw pillow. So I'm going to scooch back. And if you don't have a pillow, use a jacket or the back of your chair, or just think about what you might use. I'm going to put this behind me now. And I'm going to start for my own self, kind of just like in the middle of my back, right? Now, why do we use it? Well, your body really lights up when something touches it. It's like not your head brain, but like your body brain realizes I'm being touched here. And the fact of the matter is, so many of us are just disembodied. And meaning, in this case, you forget you have a backside, right? Like the back of your ribs, your back area is actually not very touch smart. You've probably done an experiment or played around as a kid, like how many, like if I touch here with 2 points, does it feel like one or two? If I touch here, does it feel like you're being touched by 1 or 2 points? Touched here, and you have to go quite far before the backside of your body realizes, oh, there's 2 points of touch here. Or if you did it on your hand or your lips or your feet or your eye area, like you can distinguish very, very, very fine detail. Backside, not so much. So having something behind you just kind of lights it up. So you just need something physically touching you. Now, most of us haven't thought about where or how we breathe, right? You just think, I breathe. And if you get a little smarter, you're like, oh, I should breathe through my nose, out my mouth. And then maybe a little smarter, and it's like, oh, here's a timed breath work technique. But today we're working with a touch breath work technique. So because something is touching my back in a very specific area, when I inhale, it's like I'm going to inhale into whatever is touching me back there, as if my inhale, and I want to be really crystal clear about the language, my inhale is pushing into the pillow to squish it. And when I exhale, I relax so much that it's almost like the pillow gets to re-fluff up and touch me back. Inhale, I squish or push into the pillow with my breath. I'm not catting and cowing here. I'm using my breath to do it. I'm thinking of myself as a three-dimensional, um, deep, thick structure instead of an east-west, side-to-side, or an up-down. It's like I'm looking for my brain, my body brain, to realize there's dimensionality, there's a thickness, there's a depth to my body. So as I inhale, I'm looking for my chest to go a little forward and my back ribs, my back chest to get a little wider. When I exhale, it's like I'm relaxing. Now, what I find, and I can only walk you through my physical experience with this, when I do that, when I do that inhale, it feels like there is a mildly new, I don't even want to say uncomfortable, but maybe uncomfortable, a mildly uncomfortable stretch going on. I don't want to like stretch and push. I'm allowing the tissue to expand and move, which could end up feeling like you're stretching in some way. And this, like so many things, is not very Instagrammable, right? It doesn't make for good YouTube or video after the fact. So sorry, YouTube, once this gets posted. It's really a felt sense. You're probably not going to see a lot going on, but done right or well, you're going to feel a lot going on. Now, if you're getting a lot of work done there, keep it there or move it somewhere. I'm going to move mine kind of just behind the right rib. Here's the one and only rule you need to remember. Wherever the pillow is touching, that's where you're breathing, right? That's it. That's your cue. One more breath over here. And then maybe you pick somewhere else. I'm going to now move it to the left, but you can move it wherever you need. And this side is way harder for me to breathe into, to embody, to kind of get that fullness going. Yours is probably different. Now, you're going to be asked to pick two new spots, meaning You can move it more to the left, more to the right. You could move it down. You could move it up. You could move it into a thinner area. This is for you to determine. I'm not going to tell you where I place mine. You've got to figure out where yours needs to be placed. The one and only rule is what? You're breathing into whatever is touching you. Where mine is touching right now makes me want to, instead of like using my breath to do it, it's like I want to kind of push into that. And I have to keep reminding myself this is not a push exercise. This is a breathing, fullness, richness exercise. Maybe you need to have that same conversation with yourself. It's almost like, what can I relax? What can I let go of to make this practice more beneficial? Now, pick your last and final spot. Remove the pillow, set it to the side, and just for a moment, take an inventory of your own experience. What, if anything, feels different? Maybe maybe it's making you more aware of pain, right? Maybe something feels more uncomfortable. Maybe you, for the first time in a long time or ever, feel very aware of your back body. Maybe something feels better. Maybe something just feels different. And you're just gonna take that inventory and go, "Shh, is one of those areas, is one of those practices something I should be doing more of?" Now, we're going to go more into how what we're working with here is the mobility, the movability of the rib cage, because so much of what's going on mid back, low back, upper back, even is the ability or inability for those ribs to expand and contract and move. In fact, let's have just a brief moment, a brief tutorial of ideally what should be happening with a full breath work. And again, we're working from an idealized body. You could have a deviation, a pathology, a something else going on with you that changes this for you. But when you inhale, you've got a muscle called your diaphragm, and it's up here. When I inhale, your diaphragm pulls down like this. When I exhale, that's my diaphragm relaxing and it kind of recoils back up. Inhale, it pulls down. Exhale, it goes up, right? When it pulls down, what that does is creates a vacuum effect, which kind of expands your lungs and brings in air through either your nose or your mouth. So, really, when you do an inhale, what's working is somewhere down here, ideally. Exhale, it relaxes. Simultaneously, in order for those lungs to fully balloon open, your front ribs need to go forward. Your back ribs need to move backwards. These side ribs, and all of it is one rib cage, go out to the side here so that everything kind of balloons open three-dimensionally. And when I exhale, everything kind of relaxes back down. Now, those ribs just don't move out like this. They kind of fan open and then they come back together. They fan open and they come back together. Now, the back side of those ribs hold hands with the spine. So you can imagine if how many breaths you take every day. And if those ribs are not elegantly moving, if this diaphragm's rhythm is off, one could imagine the amount of extra work that is on the spinal column, all the way from like lower neck, all the way down to about lumbar spine area. Now, when that's not moving, what has moving well? Doing too much work to stabilize the breath, right? The things above it and the things below it have to move differently than what they should. So the neck issues and the low back issues, meaning that a lot of what we're experiencing in the spine is coming from breathing. and how well or not well we're doing it, and how we have to compensate in our movement to adjust for that breathing stuff, right? So let's take a look now at the diaphragm. If you put your fingers kind of low rib area, upper belly, low rib area, you can kind of feel where ribs become belly. Pick a side, and we're going to just take and kind of push our fingertips a little bit into that. And then you're going to kind of slump over. And you're going to take those fingertips and kind of like scoop and push in. And on a scale of 1 to 10, you might be at a 1, you might be at a 10, might be somewhere in between. How do you know? Well, you're going to feel something that feels mildly unpleasant, and that's probably where your ribs are stuck. Now, if you're squeezing your abs, you're not going to get there because the abs are kind of on top of it. You've almost got to like soften and slump a bit. And then once you find an area that feels important or tender, I encourage you to take an inhale as if you are inhaling and pushing where? Into where it's being touched. Exhaling, relaxing, and letting the touch go deeper into you. And then let's see what it's like over on the other side. Doing your breathing, and then come back to center. Now, not a lot of work there, right? Just like some real strategic touches. Inhale, exhale, and just notice what's changed. Maybe here we even want to visualize what is happening inside of your body as you breathe. And I'm going to sort of mirror it here. Inhale, that diaphragm pulls down, the ribs three-dimensionally out to the side. Exhale, ribs. Inhale. Once I start to get that full inhale, I notice tension across the backside of my ribs, shoulder blade area. Probably tension I carry a lot. Maybe that's the same for you. One more. And then just kind of notice. Now, the last thing we're going to end with is sort of a visualization breath that kind of brings all of this together. This one is like a heart-centered breath, and it's actually based on anatomy. This is in physiology. This is actually what happens. Take your right hand, make a soft fist, put it where you believe your heart to be. Take your left hand and just kind of gently place it on top. Your left hand is currently representing the left lobe of your lung. The right hand is representing the heart. Now, we have an invisible imaginary right lobe over here, but as I inhale, that left lung kind of unfurls and gets a little bigger, and the heart fills up. Exhale, the heart gets small, the lungs give the heart a hug. Inhale, the lungs blossom, heart gets big. Exhale, there's a gentle hug. Now imagine that the blossoming open, the getting big is happening to the sides and behind you too, right? Back of the lungs get big. Exhale, everything gives a gentle hug around the heart. Now, Maybe it wants to get a little more embodied, right? Maybe there wants to be some big motion. Exhale. Maybe there's collapsing. Maybe it just wants to happen in the spine. What motion comes to mind as you kind of get bigger, blossom open, expand, whatever words you want to use? And what motion comes from the concept, the action of being hugged by your own lungs in the inside? And that is how we begin to take care of our spine, our ribs through the lens of breath work and breathing practices and stuff for you to take and play with. Again, we're expanding the definition of what it means to move through or move with or caretake your spine and your ribs and the core, what's important to the body. I'll stick around for whatever questions you got, and I hope you join us on Friday. If not, please join us next week for this class. He's over there sleeping, y'all. That's what we got for you. Sorry. Thank you. Doesn't look like any questions over here. Yep. Great. Okay. Thank you, everybody. We will see you on Friday and next week. Oh, we got one question that popped up. I don't think that's a question there. Okay. Thank you all. Appreciate it. See you next time.